I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about how we choose our lures. A lot of us choose our lures on sheer size. We're not sure if the lure is too big or too small, or we end up catching relatively small fish. Well, if you look here, this is a 30-inch, 13-pound largemouth bass that I recently caught and recently got back from the taxidermist. This is a lateral line that we talk about going right along the body. This is the soundboard for that lateral line. If you look how wide he is, that picks up those little bit of vibrations that we talk about when we're fishing with rattles or movements in the water. That's how they pick it up. So when we talk about lure size and we're talking about big lures, a lot of times we add in our own feelings on, wow, that's a big lure. Well, if we take a few minutes and just spin this around and we look how big this lure actually is compared to the fish's mouth, even if we take what I actually caught this fish on and look at the size of it, they can inhale and spit this lure out a lot of times with the mouth that big before you can even feel that you even have a hit. So when you're looking for big fish, some of us may have had giant fish hit our lures, but we didn't know it because we just felt this real subtle hit. I've had 1-pound bass actually hit harder than this 13-pound did. So if we talk about a 10-inch worm, a lot of us have never fished with a 10-inch worm, and if we look at the mouth of this bass and we looked at this 10-inch worm almost isn't as long as the mouth of this bass, it's important that we don't allow our feelings to dictate the size of lure that we're going to fish with in a largemouth. If you look here, we have a 5/0 hook. It's pretty insignificant to the size of the mouth of this 13-pound bass. Here's a 10-inch worm. We can put our 5/0 hook in a 7-inch or a 10-inch worm, and it really is insignificant compared to the size of the fish's mouth. Again, remember, they can suck it in and spit it out, especially with a mouth this big, way faster than you can ever feel the vibration through your line. And that's one of the reasons we catch a lot of smaller fish, because a smaller fish actually takes a couple bites to get that 10-inch worm in his mouth, or this is a 7.5-inch worm. It actually takes them a few bites to get that in their mouth. So we can actually feel that vibration on the line because they're there a lot longer. So that's one reason we miss a lot of big fish. If you feel a very subtle hit on your line, always set the hook. A lot of times I'll set the hook even when I know it's grass, because you never know what's going to come out of that grass. A fish this big doesn't hit that hard. You would think it makes a giant splash. So it doesn't matter how slight that vibration is, always set your hook on that line, because you never know what's on the other end. Prime example, like I said, this one right here didn't hit as hard as a 2-pounder that I've caught. Feel that fish on the line. If there's ever one important thing I'm ever going to tell you, make sure you feel that fish on the line. Set that hook, reel him in, and you never know what's going to be on the end.